Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Single No More Online Summit. I'm Andrea, your host today, and we are here to give you the tools to feel confident that you can not only meet, but keep your Mr. Right this year. And I think it's because being in love is one of the best feelings in the world, and I'm here to help you get there no matter what. We're bringing in all these experts in so many different areas to see what clicks, because not everything's going to resonate, right? So we're going to try to get as much information for you as possible so you can feel confident that this is your year. And I am super in the belief that finding the man of your dreams is within your power. And I'm so excited for my guest today. It's Dr. Ilene Cohen, who is a psychotherapist, professor, blogger, and award-winning author of the most popular self-help books, When It's Never About You and It's Within You. I think you is the term there. So it's going to be a super interesting topic today. And in her book, she points out that feeling frustrated, anxious, angry, conflicted, defensive, empty, or even struggling in any way is something you need to be aware of. And there's an easy solution for all this, because basically you can access your own power to relieve these feelings at any time. And that's what we're going to get into today. It's super interesting. And I think in my situation, I know that I was beyond frustrated that I couldn't commit to a good man. And learning these tools that we're going to give you today is really what was a big game changer for me for taking that next step and moving that trajectory forward in my dating life. So welcome, Dr. Ilene Cohen. So excited to have you today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes. So I would love to know, tell us about your journey that led you to writing these books, because it's a really interesting topic, and I'd love to know where it all came from and how it started.
Well, it was definitely a journey for me. I was, educated, becoming a psychotherapist, and who better to experiment on than yourself, right? I went to school thinking, I'm going to be this expert for other people, but what I actually ended up learning is that you need to also work on you if you want to be helpful to anybody else. So, that resonated with me. At first, I was hesitant to think about that. I thought it's everyone else that needs to change or have the fixing, or my outside environment that needed to change for, me to be the expert or to be happy or live fulfilled. But what I found is that changing the perspective and looking at yourself and making those changes is what makes the long-term change last.
Did you have a specific area that you were looking or felt that needed changing that you were working on yourself? Was there something specific?
Well, I was a huge people pleaser. And that's in a way looking to others to bring fulfillment to you, and that you're trying to please and, get that validation from other people that you don't have within yourself. So for a long time, I was always trying to please, and nobody ended up happy anyways. And I was, became resentful, upset. And I saw that was something that I really needed to change. And a lot of my clients as well.
Yeah, that's really good that you had that awareness. Was it then affecting other areas? What areas of your life was that affecting that you felt like this isn't working? Was it more the fact that you were saying no one was happy, you weren't happy, they weren't happy, and you went, something's got to change here?
Yeah, so you see that in all your personal relationships, your family of origin. Then if you are in a romantic partnership, if you have children. When I made those changes, I hadn't been married yet or had children, but I saw in any romantic partnerships I got, it was always the repeated thing of me thinking I was doing everything and not getting back what I was giving to the relationship. And the same with my family. I felt like I was always going in to fix things, and I was the one everyone came to when they needed something. But then bad situations would still happen, and there wasn't really anything I could do about it. So, and then I just was becoming exhausted, burnt out.
Yeah, no, I know we can get those feelings. Like I said, I was super frustrated, and I think it's so crazy because we think, yeah, we're going to go and we're going to fix it. We're going to be, like we said, do things to make people happy. And it's so ironic how that doesn't actually work. It doesn't work at all. And it's so shocking because we're thinking we're going to go in and we got this, And I know what you were saying before about that acceptance and that validation. When I had to take a hard look at myself, I definitely saw that I was seeking acceptance from, I didn't think I was, but I definitely was. And I was definitely seeking validation from the men specifically. And I think that was because looking back I had to realize that my mom would say, no man's going to like you this way. Don't cut your hair. You have to go out. You have to go outside with makeup on. So I think I was really desperate to find somebody who accepted me exactly for me. And it's only like when that guy accepted me, was I going to feel almost validated that, who I am is okay, because I was always trying to fight it. And so what you write in your book about, though, is that we're not to say we're doing it all wrong, but we're essentially losing ourselves if we're relying on this outside validation or from any source for essentially our self-worth. So I want to talk more about like self-worth in itself. You say in the book that it's essentially the knowledge that we are deserving, lovable, and indispensable. And I just think that is so powerful. And from my perspective, I want to know from you, what is the difference between confidence and self-worth? Because I definitely thought that I was confident and I had it all together, and there was no problems of self-worth or anything. When I dug deep, I realized there was. But to me, I didn't think there was. So can you explain the difference there?
Yeah, so a lot of us sometimes might think we're confident, and we might be, or we might have self-worth in certain areas in our life. We know maybe with certain family members that are maybe more positive or happy or more accepting of us, we can be more confident with those people. We can feel like we have that self-worth and value. I think then when it comes in and we can see the shift is if we're with people that maybe make us feel more uncomfortable, say if we have an issue with criticism, if we're with people that are more critical of us, and then our self-worth and confidence kind of plummets in those experiences. So then you could see it's not really coming from within yourself, it's coming from outside of yourself because it's changing based on your circumstances, which is hard to be aware of. And I think we all surround ourselves with certain types of people and experiences that we feel better at, and then say, oh, look, I'm so confident, I have self-worth in this area, which I think those words could be used interchangeably.
Yeah.
I think, self-worth is more knowing, our value and having that, and then confidence is then bringing that forward, saying, okay, I'm confident that I'm okay with this type of relationship. I'm confident that I'm not knowledgeable in X, Y, Z. So I think if you're not aware, if you think that, oh, but I have confidence here, I'm, I would try to, I guess, pay more attention to when, what you're trying to avoid, or if it's fluid throughout your different relationships or contexts. And if it's not, it's okay. I still just noticing that, I'll be in certain contexts and I feel like confident and self-worth. And then others, I notice I'm a little more nervous to say anything or to speak up. I'm like, oh, this is kind of an area that triggers me more or something, being aware of that. How can I remember that I have value still and worth?
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I never thought of it that way, where again, I didn't realize that, again, that confidence was only potentially in certain situations where I was around people that were boosting me up. And I was still seeking that good job and that you're amazing and that was a brilliant idea. And the minute my, now fiance, if I brought something to him, he wouldn't give me those, kudos. I would start to then go, yeah, I would feel almost thrown off. And I had to realize, obviously the big shift was realizing that was my issue and not his. He wasn't being mean to me. He didn't not love me, but that was my thing to work on, that I realized I'm seeking these kudos. And if I don't get them, it's leaving me feeling a certain way, which doesn't need to happen. And I need to say to myself, that was a great idea. And if he doesn't think that it's great, or if he doesn't give me the acclamation that I'm looking for, it doesn't take away from the fact that I had a brilliant idea. And I think this is where that shift really started to happen going. And what I was saying at the beginning about you can access at any time is that, holy moly, like what if we can give ourselves those kudos and be our best cheerleader at any time and not rely on outside sources? Because you go into this book, tell us a bit more about how you say there's really two things. You can seek worthiness from within or without.
Well, you just gave a perfect example of how you could seek it from within, is
Mm-hmm.
that noticing, wow, that is a trigger for me. My significant other, the person I value their opinion the most, isn't, isn't as excited about this as I am.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I could still be excited about it.
Right.
I still think it's a good idea. I still find value in it.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to do that's really an example of seeking within. What a lot of us do is we put our worth on outside things. So once I get that job, once I finish school, once I buy that car, I have that house, then I'll have value. When I have a family, kids,
Mm-hmm.
so and then I'll feel good about myself. So it's always like chasing this next thing, and then once you get there, it's like, okay, I don't feel anything, so let me go for the next thing.
Right.
With having value from within, it's you just living as who you are, and you understand your worth regardless of anything outside of yourself. And again, things might happen that it triggers you, and it brings out the insecurities, but then reminding yourself again, um, okay, who really is giving me this value and worthiness?
Yeah, you said in the
This or me?
Mhm. Yeah, you say in the book, you said, don't mistake your worthiness for your accomplishments. I love that line because I think, like, again, we think, but yet we do. We get this high and this feeling of accomplishment and happiness and a rush from achieving something, whether it's like you said, a goal or anything. I mean, it's probably quite healthy still to set goals and do that. Are we wrong for feeling that or seeking that fulfillment in those things?
Oh no, we're not robots. I'm actually like, I get super excited when a book comes out, or another article, and I love that. But the difference now is that I try to seek value in the process and who I am, regardless of that. Like when my writing or my work is an expression of who I am, not me
Yeah.
seeking value anymore. And so when you're enjoying the process, when you know your worth already, it's just an extra bonus, and you're doing it because you want to. It's coming from you. You're not doing it to prove something.
Right.
So of course, get excited.
Yeah, yeah.
It's awesome to have, things to look forward to. And as long as you could still be happy today,
Yeah.
while you're doing that, and you're doing it because it's you, not
Yeah.
because you're trying to prove anything.
Yeah. I now that as I was saying it, I felt like, okay, what we're essentially able to do with supporting ourselves from within, like you say in the book, is we're almost raising our baseline to a 10. And then when we get those accomplishments of any kind, maybe we bring ourselves to a 15, maybe even a 20. But if we assume that 10 is like the best feeling in the world as well, we only get to add more to it. So we're never really falling into that, area where we're below, a really healthy, happy state. Because what we're saying is we could probably bring ourselves to a happy state, and then it's just like icing on the cake, right? Yeah, I love it. As I was reading the book, I thought another way I thought of it was, you know, what we can essentially do with ourselves with this, supporting ourselves and being our best cheerleader is it's almost like driving around. If we had a car and, let's say that the tank runs out, we always need to go find a gas station, and that can get really stressful. But what if we could actually just magically like go snap our fingers and poof, the tank is full again. And then we don't need to really go around looking for any gas station. We can just keep driving around like no problem. It's almost a very just blissful feeling, which I think is so important to realize, especially when it comes to relationships. Because when we were saying, and you mentioned this book, is that if we feel that anxiety or that seeking without and looking for validation in others, you actually say that this is not a place where healthy relationships can thrive. Can you explain just a little bit more about how that impacts relationships? When we're not seeking validation for worthiness from within.
So again, you're focusing on other things, focusing outside of yourself for that. And then when you don't find it, what's going to happen? Or the person, like you said, in your relationship, it doesn't validate you the way you want them to, or says things in a certain way. You're going to be more reactive to that. You're going to be more sensitive to that. And the relationship will probably end up being a little more volatile when you do that.
Mm.
And when you're not full within yourself or feeling that from within and you're seeking that from your partner, it's never going to be enough.
Yeah.
It's never, somebody else can't give you what you initially should be just having from within yourself. And both of you are going to end up feeling frustrated.
Yeah. And then when we're both frustrated, then we're not coming from a place of love, and we're probably saying, oh, they're doing this. I'm not feeling this way. I liked what you said about reacting, because reacting is a big thing. I think it's something that we don't realize that we can control. If I react, like I said, I was reacting defensively a lot to stuff when it came down to smarts, because I believe that I was holding on to this belief for a long time that I wasn't smart enough. So anything where I wasn't getting those kudos about great idea, you're amazing, you're so smart, I believed, again, it was validating my belief that I wasn't smart. And when I realized, hang on, I know I'm smart, I know I can do this, that's something I'm holding on to and isn't serving me, I could change that reaction essentially on my own side. No matter what he did, whether he said good job or not, I could change my reaction to it. And I think this leads into when I was saying there about that insecurity. I mean, this is something that comes up a lot in dating and relationships. People who are secure. If I'm insecure about something, and you really, again, you break it down in the book to say, if you're seeking worthiness from yourself, you're essentially going to be secure. And if you're seeking it from outside sources, that's essentially being insecure. Is it really that simple?
Well, I think it could be case to case. Things aren't so fluid all the time like we'd like to be. But if you have, like you're saying, that self-awareness, like this is a trigger for me. I know I feel like I'm not smart, and I know where that derives from, and this is what I carry with me. You can be more aware when a situation you face with your significant other comes to you, and you could evaluate that. Okay, is this coming from my insecurity? Is this something I need to deal with within myself, or is this something I need to kind of connect with him? So I think with security, you can bring that with you with self-awareness and thinking things through versus reacting to them so emotionally all the time. And I think over time with those experiences, it can build. I think we all have from our families of origin a basic level of security and a basic level of self-worth and self-esteem, and that is something that was given to us, but over time we can grow that. And I think we do that. It's not like Waloo, like today I'm waking up and I'm self-confident, I'm awesome, and like I'm going to feel great about myself all the time. Yeah. It's that knowing what your insecurities are, knowing what your triggers are, and then in those moments saying, okay, like what can I do about it? Like how can I make changes with this instead of pointing the finger to my partner and being reactive and blaming it on them.
And that's what's so powerful, is to realize, hey, if we can just recognize our insecurities and realize that we have the power to essentially, not self-soothe them, but basically we have the power to either, change that or let go on our own accord. Yes, I mean, of course, it's helpful to go to therapists and coaches and almost help them identify, what we might be doing. And like we're saying, the patterns that we're having. And that's definitely what I needed to be told from a therapist. I was told that I was avoidant, and I was like, what do you mean I'm avoidant? I totally did not see it. But when she did say that to me, I went, oh, okay. Now I was super aware of, what I was doing that totally made sense for all the patterns of behaviors that I had. I was never staying in a relationship longer than 2 years. And I realized when it got to that point of commitment or anything, I was like, see you later, or I was looking for a reason to get out, or this isn't the one. So I just think it's so powerful that we have so much ability within ourselves to let go of these insecurities, just from believing in ourselves, just from giving us that love and support to ourselves and saying, I am good enough. And I love what you say in the book as well, is it's very much just saying that our purpose was fulfilled when we were born, when we were created. I think that's just so powerful for people to understand, that we don't have to be you don't necessarily need to earn your value. Like, we just, as being human beings, have a value, we have a purpose. We're, like you said, we're indispensable. I just think that's so powerful. And, was there a big turning point for you when you really realized this for yourself, when you went, whoa, I am so valuable?
I was always chasing validation, satisfaction. Most of my college graduate career was, I mean, it's not such a bad thing. I think it helped me finish school, but
Yeah.
when does it end? You know, I got my bachelor's, it wasn't enough, got the master's, PhD, you know, I didn't go for the MD because I made changes inside. But when was I going to be smart enough? You know, when was I going to know enough? And I think a big turning point was just learning and trying to help others and then change myself. But also this idea that I co-wrote, you know, with a rabbi, and we had a lot of talks. And this idea that, well, when a newborn baby is born, like, do they not have value? They don't have any skills yet. They don't have any accomplishments yet, but that baby has value. It has worth just from being born, and has every, you know, right to have any kind of love and self-worth as anybody else. So
Yeah.
whether they are going to be an athlete or an actor or a doctor or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And we can understand that as babies and when we see a baby, but somewhere that gets lost. And we forget that we have that inherent worth, whether we, you know, accomplish all kinds of crazy things or we don't, or whatever it is we decide to do with our lives.
Yeah, and I think if we see those accomplishments and that thing, and that's just about growing. That's just about, you know, just because we always know if we're not growing, we're dying, right? So it's very normal, I think, for us to be doing that, but we just can't do it, like you were saying, because it's going to prove something. It's going to prove to ourselves that we are good, that we are smart, that we are, you know, if we get the man, that means that we are pretty or somebody likes me. It's, you know, I just think it's so strong. And the reason I harp on this point is because I feel like if we all come from that place of we are worthy, then we're going to be bringing a whole new self and a really confident and secure self to the dating game. And I think ultimately that's what people are attracted to. I know I was attracted to people who were confident. So this is a really quick way, you know, it doesn't have to take years and years and years. Like we said, it's not overnight, but it's a really, you know, quick way that you can go into the, you know, a date tomorrow and all of a sudden just have this, you know, not feeling like we need something from this person, right? Like we can just go out there and say, I'm amazing, and I can't wait to learn about how amazing you are. It just feels like it really takes the pressure off, you know? So speaking of dating, so let's say we have someone who is always nervous when they go on a date, you know? I go on these dates and I don't know, I get so nervous, I can't be myself. What advice would you have for someone who keeps feeling this way?
I would say it's natural to feel nervous. It's okay, you know, validate that. Um, it's a nerve-wracking experience. Dating can be hard, and you're trying to get to know someone. That's really where insecurities can come out. You know, people when they're in a relationship, they could feel secure and you know, fine. But as soon as they become single and they have to put themselves out there, that's where you really get tested of thinking, oh, are they going to like me? Like you're putting all your focus on the other. How are they going to think about me, you know, and all that stuff. So I would try to focus on myself versus what the other person's going to think. Validate it, to find to be nervous, and then try to, I guess, think, okay, well, what is it that you're looking for? You know, well, who is it that you want to bring to the table? And just kind of see it as I guess, a learning experience and a conversation, not putting we put so much pressure on the future too. Like, oh, you know, this is going to be the one or whatever it is, you know, but maybe just I'm just going to get to know this person. I'm going to get to know myself with this person, you know. That's really it. But I mean, and I mean, even me thinking I'm married now, if I had to go back in the dating world, I'd be nervous too.
Absolutely. I think I try to tell clients that, you know, instead of change that nervous more to excitement, because I feel like if you're nervous, then again we're worried that, like you were saying, are they going to like me? And I think that what we're trying to say is, let's shift that, are they going to like me, to do I like them? Do I see this person, you know, fitting into my day-to-day life, you know, or are they fun? Do I feel good around them, you know? And there's definitely, like you're saying, you're right, it is exciting because it's like, yes, this could be someone that is could be a huge part of your life, but it's got to happen in stages. We're never going to know right away, right? And as long as we're bringing that, full self, to the table or to that date, it could be at least it starts that kind of trajectory on the right foot, So yeah. Is there anything you see with clients in this kind of worthiness space that is quite reoccurring, or you see most often, or people need help with?
Well, because of my first book on people pleasing, approval seeking, I do see a lot of people that identify themselves as people pleasers. And especially with the dating, it's very difficult for approval seekers and people pleasers to be themselves in the beginning, because they don't even know who that is also. And they find themselves trying to match the person that they might be going out with, even doing things they wouldn't normally do, maybe drinking a little bit more, or going further in the date than they would have liked to, because they think, okay, I want to please this person I'm out with, and I want to make them happy, because then that gives them their worth. So I do see a lot of that. And I do see that, again, the dating, they'll feel secure in certain situations, but then when they start going back in the dating world, it's an anxiety provoking situation. So it brings out all that, insecurity and stuff, and the way we might feel about ourselves. So I think it could be actually used as an opportunity for growth, and as an opportunity to maybe try to get to know yourself, bring in that self-worth, and remind yourself of that when you do start dating, and try to think about what your boundaries are before that, and what's okay and not okay with you, versus trying to please the person you're going on a date with.
Yeah, so for those people pleasers, because that's definitely a common theme, like you said, of trying to be what they are, please them. It sounds like that's still coming from that same core of worth that needs to come from within, but this is more like a symptom of what could be happening in the dating. And then, like you're saying, is your advice to them more so to really focus on themselves for something, versus just kind of, because you almost want to say, not say push through, but get out there. Like you said, it's an opportunity for growth. But do you see that in combination with that, they need to kind of really work out, what they want, or why they're doing that? Are you able to help them kind of understand why they're doing that?
Yeah, and some people choose to work on that before they date. You can work on it while you date. You can even work on it while in a relationship. It's not like you need to be like on your own to fully. I mean, some people can think clearer when they're on their own, because when you're less anxious, you can access your logical brain a little bit better.
Yeah.
But the true test is being able to access it, what you really want and everything, while you're in those situations that might trigger you. So it depends on the person's level, where they're at, what they're most comfortable with. But I would say either way, whether you find yourself single or in the dating world, in a relationship, I think it's good to just try to focus on yourself and what it is you want, instead of taking the focus, putting the focus so much on other people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think also people knowing that people pleasing is something that we do, I'm not saying, it's a lot of us do it. So it's not an uncommon thing that then we can say, hey, if that's not working for you, here's how we shift it, And I like what you said about it could be different for everybody, that maybe you want to work on yourself on your own, but at the same time, there's still a lot of growth that can be done while you're with someone or while you're out dating. I think that's definitely where I saw a lot of my growth while I was in my relationship. And I kind of like, it's kind of like, as you get to a point, you're hitting an area what you've never hit before, and you go, oh, and a lot of times I would run away. But this time I decided, okay, I'm going to push through and keep going and see what's on that other side, because I was never getting to the side that I wanted, or the end goal that I wanted, which was, engagement and all that. So I could definitely see the fear of thinking like, I can't do it till I'm this. But I almost want to say there's going to be a lot going on when you're in a relationship as well. So just start getting in there and just feeling it out. It's that whole kind of just, we all get to where we want because we try. And even as kids, we try it doesn't work, we get up, we do it again, we try a different way that works for us. And yeah, do you see a lot of people getting success by just kind of getting out there and pushing through their comfort zone, or what scares them a little bit?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we're always growing. There's not really any end point in this. As you, when you're married, there's still more growth to happen. When you're dating, there's always growth. And those are opportunities when you're uncomfortable to push through. That's when it really tests you. We can all feel, like I said, secure and awesome and fulfilled when we're not in situations that bring about those insecurities. But it's when you can still feel that way and bring out, your more clear mind in those incidences that make you anxious, that makes a difference for growth. And it's uncomfortable, like you said. So it's not about just staying in the areas that make you feel comfortable. It's about bringing yourself into those areas that make you feel uncomfortable, but kind of being able to bring your worth and yourself in those anyway.
Yeah. So I feel like, yeah, if you can kind of get that fulfillment and then bring that new person there, it's because anxiety, I mean, I feel like that is definitely a very, a lot of people feel that these days. Are you seeing that a lot as well? I'm sure it's, people in and out of relationships.
Well, anxiety and, well, that drives everything. That's actually in the topic of my next book. And
Oh,
a lot
wow.
of our behaviors are driven by anxiety to ease our anxiety in the moment, but it's not really necessarily what's best for us. So we might not date because we're anxious about dating, and that keeps our anxiety at bay for a bit, but then you start thinking, oh, maybe I do want a family, a relationship. And then your anxiety increases even trying to do it. So you go back into, I'm fine with being single. Or you might feel very anxious being single and being on your own, and you feel more soothed in a relationship. So you jump into relationships that might not be right for you, just to soothe that
Right.
anxiety.
Right. So I'm almost hearing a lot of short-term solutions and what we do to kind of calm ourselves right then, but we don't, there are fixes, right? Like there are ways to do it where we don't necessarily need to either not only feel anxious, but we can, just recognize that as it's almost a short-term Band-Aid, isn't it?
Right. But a lot of people, you have to have that self-awareness piece first. You might not even understand that you're doing that.
Yeah.
Someone might be single, be, I just want a relationship. I just want a relationship, but they're anxious about it. So what's going on that you feel like you need to, be in a relationship? And what's that going to push you? What type of relationship is that going to bring you to? Or I can't be in relationships. I'm done with them, whatever. Okay, what's going on there? Looking further into it versus just acting out of anxiety.
Yeah. So, wow. Yeah. And this is where I'm kind of like, okay, if you're feeling any of those things, just check out your books. I mean, they are just, I feel like they, like you said, between the people pleasing and the self-worth, they are just gold and amazing nuggets. So thank you so much for talking with me on this topic. It's so interesting. And like I said, I feel like it's just a really good starting point for people who are just not seeing the success they want in their dating life to just check in and make sure that this is, in a good place, meaning your worth is in the right place, it's coming from the right areas, and see how that changes. And like you said, there's always going to be growth. There's always going to be things to work on. But I feel like this is almost like a safe base for people to come back to. If, if you're number one, what's that?
To back to yourself.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. It's like you're saying, it's the boundaries. I know that there's so many times where I start to lose my cool, and all of a sudden I just go, it's like I can talk to myself and I can handle it on this side, or I can realize why I'm doing it or what it's coming from. It's from an old belief, or it's from an insecurity about something. And it's kind of like going, okay, but if I know that I can support myself 100%, it's kind of like you've always said, it's not ever going to be taken away. You're never going to not back yourself, right? Like, well, to be fair, I was not backing myself, but the minute you realize that, how meaningful it can be, I feel like, whoa, I will never not support myself like I am right now ever again, because it really just almost gives you an amazing foundation to go out there into the world, to go dating, to go get that job, to do anything you want, which I think is just so, it just blows my mind.
You really just need to have your own back.
Yeah.
If you bring yourself everywhere you go, and if you can bring that with you, what freedom and what a difference it makes in everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, is there anything else on this topic that we haven't covered that you would like to share that you think would be valuable to the audience?
Well, I think especially with this, with not being single, if you're looking for somebody, I think just to reiterate that is focusing on yourself, building your own life, building your own, you know, purpose, whatever that is, and then seeing it as somebody that's going to add to your life, somebody that maybe, having a good partnership with, not really someone that's going to make your life.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, I totally get that. I always say I totally fell for he's going to complete me. I was like, I totally fell for it, hook, line, sinker, and I'm, once I kind of got that awareness of, oh no, I am so amazing as I am. And I also get this person as part of my life. It just felt very much more like a two versus, a half, whereas if you're a half, then you feel like something's missing. And then off the back of that, I thought, well, if this is going to be my other half, he needs to be the most amazing person. Like he needs to be like Matthew McConaughey and Ryan Gosling all in one, which was not going to happen, obviously. So it's, it really,
nice, but yeah.
it really took the pressure off who this person needed to be. I mean, they just needed to be someone then who supported me, who loved me, who was there for me, who was reliant, dependable, funny, easygoing, rather than all these other things, right? Because then, like you're saying, if I was seeking all that need from someone else, then that person needs to be a lot. Whereas if I can get that so much within myself, which is easy because I know I'm never going to let myself down, then he just needed to be an amazing, sweet, kind guy. It's crazy. So yeah, I love all your thoughts there. The books are amazing, and you are so kind enough as to give our audience a free gift. And what's that?
So it's within you. It's like a summary of my book. It's within you, but it gives a lot of tips on how to live from within versus outside,
Yeah.
which will be helpful in your journey for finding a relationship.
Yeah, I'd say of all the books, this is definitely one not to miss. So definitely get that one. It's going to be in the email for this interview. So you're going to get that, and I'm telling you, it's one not to miss. It's super digestible, super clear, and it'll really set you off on the right journey for finding the man of your dreams. So thank you, Dr. Ilene, for all your wisdom today. It was absolutely amazing, and thank you for putting the book together. It's an amazing resource that we get to have and on our journey, not only in love, but life.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, thanks.